Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue our unpacking of Xi's quotes at the end of the year. Okay. Today, he is talking about the relationship between CCP and its people. Okay. It's saying, 人民就是江山. He's equivalenting 人民. I translate it as man crowd, but it's the people, Chinese expression. 就是 is actually is. It's trying to give your definition of what people is about. And he used actually 就是 to try to force or to try to be assertive of that is his definition. It may be a little bit surprising. So he's equivalenting its people to its land, with Chinese use 江山 to express. 江山 to mean this land for whoever is the governor or the governing the boss of the country. Well, I shouldn't use boss because boss is a business sense, but this is political sense. 江山 in the view of the long history of Chinese language use have been used as the land being under, the Wang, whoever is the king or the emperor of, ruling over the land. So the rulers, from rulers' point of view, Jiang and Shan, rivers and mountains, are the representative of the land. Of course, there are other geographical features on the land, right? Farmland will be different from Jiangshan. Jiangshan are not agricultural friendly place. Those are the places that you're not going to grow your crops. However, those are the places that kind of give you the sense of the power of this land. Jiang in Chinese looks like this. It means larger rivers. So Chinese do have a kind of a variation of the water body. If it is large enough, like max out on the top level of the water body, then it becomes jiang. And historically, this jiang character was used paired with Yangtze River, the biggest, longest river that goes from the almost like a close to Tibet, all the way, make a big W shape entering the East China Sea. So that's kind of the distinction between northern and southern China. Climately and culturally, agriculturally, the two northern and southern China, very different. And because this jiang is this horizontal or latitudinal connection of this piece of land from the east and west horizontally, right? It became the main channel of trade. So this, you can imagine just like the big lake area in America, right? In the era before the railroad, continental railroad, the river, the water body became the place to go to do trade. So the cities, the commerce, the seaports, river ports, became an important gathering place for people, for economy. So same thing, the W-shaped long river cut across horizontally of China became this major trade route. And, economy, cultural, linguistic, there's so many famous people grew next to this river. If they were not born because of the distribution of talents, right? Not necessarily all the talents are born next to the river, but if they made it somewhere in their life, become well-known, like a poet, they would come next to the river and write some famous. Actually, there were this long competition of poets who, were facing the same river, right? And language-wise, it's a long lineage of using the Chinese language to poetically express your feeling standing next to the river. That became like thousands of years of competition between poets. Okay, anyways, it's jiang. Eventually, this became a generic big river description. So we have many different jiangs in like Pearl River if you know, it's near Hong Kong. And there are other big rivers in China also then use jiang as their descriptor. But originally it was this big W shape Yangtze River. Okay, Shan, simply Chinese abstract mountain with 3 peaks. And I guess 3, even if it's an odd number, in this case, this frame, it looks symmetrical, right? You have the tallest peak in the middle, and then you have lesser tall peak. And that's kind of an abstraction of what mountains look to us, right? It's not just one big high thing. It's a group, a cluster of peaks. That's how mountain in nature works. So jiang and shan, we use this land features, kind of a grand, right? It's not a small river or small mountain or hills, right? It's the big peaky ones or long flowing river body. This grand scale of things that the rulers of the country would like themselves, like, I own that, that's my land, kind of proud of their place as well, right? So in this expression, xi was equivalenting this rivers and mountains, this landscape thing to its people. It's saying people to him is equivalent to rivers and mountains, which means, right, people under his rule is kind of natural resources. He holds no, I guess, responsibility to its people, because the people act like natural resources. And Chinese used to proud themselves of the largest population in the world, right? The sheer volume, the head count of that land, the density of the population over there was surpassed by India last year, something like that, right? So China was still like a big body of people. And so he was equivalenting that grand scale river mountain to the volume size of the people. The people almost like natural resources to this ruler. Okay. And then the next sentence begins with 共产党. It's Chinese way translated as Communist Party. And of course, it's a CCP, it's a Chinese Communist Party, but the CCP themselves will not often refer themselves as Chinese Communist Party. They just say Communist Party. In that context, in China, we all know it's about the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, so 共产党 in Chinese translated as shared production party. So it's interesting because communism is about the distribution of wealth. So it's after production, after wealth was created, then how you distribute among the people. But here, somehow, Communist Party themselves translate communism party as 共产党 on the production side instead of the distribution side. I'm not sure if there are, this twist of the main feature of what the communism is about was intentionally put on the production side here, or was that a mistake or intention, right? So they are saying they are shared production party. That's communism translation in Chinese. And then this CCP, their historical role is to 打江山, which means they're battling over to gain the land. I later translate like a beat rivers and mountains, meaning they came out as the winner, compared with the Jiang, the other party, who were now reserved to retreated to Taiwan, right? So they are the winner of this land. So that's why this is 打. And then 守江山 means defend this. So now it's time. They are the ruler of the part of the Jiangshan, this land, and now it's time to defend. So the historical role of 共产党 Communist Party is to win, to gain the ground, and then defend this land. Okay, I want to capture those 2 action words. One is 打, 5-finger hand symbol, because 打, if we want to beat we have to use our hands, right? So that's like a no-brainer. And then the right side looks like a spear. So ancient times, I guess, when in battlefield, this long spherical shape weapon was commonly used. And that was paired with this hand symbol to mean beat. To, I guess it's a battlefield depiction of what you do. You not simply beat with your hand. That's what Kung Fu was about, right? But you're beating with weaponry. So you're assisted, facilitated, technology advanced, beating in this battlefield. So 打奸臣 doesn't mean they are beating on the landscape directly. It actually means beat their enemy, which was the National Democratic Party, right? Is that a 国民党? That's how they beat over that enemy to win the right to rule over these rivers and mountains. Okay, 守江山. Okay, we have this big arch thing with a chimney that gives you a private property concept, because this big dome thing have this clear border of what's within compared with what without, right? And then the chimney is something related to man's building. It's not a cave. It's not something you just get from nature. It's something you have to build up this place. And this is your private with the border place. Okay. And then this 3-finger hand symbol. So now you see 5-finger hand symbol and 3-finger hand symbol with this indicator pointing to exactly 1 inch down the very edge of your, I guess, wrist connecting to hand. So this point, 1 inch down, that's pulse reading location. So ancient Chinese doctor practice have to diagnose. There are many, human to human biodetector, biometrics can be collected through this pulse reading. So this then eventually become the correct measurement. You have to go 1 inch down, and that become a symbol of you have to make things right by going with the right distance or volume or whatever measurement that is. You have to take measured actions. So this measured actions with this dome then becomes like you have to maintain the rule. This eventually becomes the rule. Okay, measured actions to do things is the rule. Okay, so you have to defend within your sphere, within your private domain. You have to follow this rule, and that becomes Chinese 守. It means the rule keeper. Okay, so I want to pull this beautiful painting. Chinese, we call it a 山水画. Actually, this 山水 was captured in Japanese as well. Like Japanese also have a whole category of artwork making, which is drawing the mountains and rivers, and that's a whole category. This landscape type of painting has a long tradition in China. And you can see this is a nicely rendered painting to capture the misty moment in mountain yellow. Wangshan is one of the most beautiful scenic location, kind of Yosemite, probably better than Yosemite. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to neither of them, just by the look of it. Yosemite have this big dome thing, right? Half dome thing. And this Yellow Mountain is a whole full ranges of mountains that looks pretty steep and biologically like diverse, and like terrain wise is more complicated. Like you have more surprises over there almost, right? So you have more things to look at and more frames you can make. So many artists use mountain yellow to get inspirations to draw this 山水画, this mountain and the water category of landscape painting. And of course, Chinese would use ink over paper to create somehow this misty and something almost like a beam of the light through the mist. I don't know how that artist achieved this, but it's amazing. This mist looks real, right? This near and far, like you can all see that. And so this romanticized landscape painting has always been in the genes of Chinese culture. And Chinese is always, have this close attachment to the land they're living on. Even if they're living on, to feed themselves, they have to live off farm fields. This is not farmable, but they admire the landscape so much that the whole category of art making is dedicated to this. And Jiangshan is then eventually representing this land, this place. And of course, the people living on this land was not said there, but we can all see like how, appreciative of the people over its land by creating this phrase and eventually using that as a representation of this land. It's basically a landscape. It's a very interesting, dynamic, big scale landscape. And that's not flat. China's majority of the land is not flat at all. So it's not a farming friendly, but it's very interesting landscape to look at. And sometimes in America, very rarely that with my limited experience in China, in America, that I can see a little bit of a misty surrounded mountain. But that's the sense, that's the kind of aesthetic that the Chinese would appreciate. It's not you're looking at something directly in a bold, bright sun. No, it's this misty moment that you can see, half see, semi-see, or see the mountain surrounded by the mist that it will change somehow. It's a dynamic view. It's not a fixed, clearly edged view. It's this misty view. That's a Chinese aesthetic. All right, so that's Jiangshan. And in this expression, she was simply saying that people is just like their land. 共产党 CCP win over this land. Therefore, we have the right to rule over, and now it's time to defend this land. All right, catching to the currency of thinking. Bye. One word a day with Sophie. See you another day.